Razak, it is mentioned that when Isa alayhi salam, just before he returns, the Muslims will have been surrounded by the Dajjal, and this confinement will have lasted for a long, long time. And as mentioned yesterday, that the Muslims will be extremely weak, extremely hungry. So there will come a point where a man from the from the Muslims, he will stand and he will say that, "Oh Muslims, how long is this going to last for? How long are we going to withstand this for? The enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he has surrounded us, but our matter, your matter, is not between except two things, two good things. The first good thing is either you go fight the Dajjal, you go fight the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you become shaheed, you become a martyr. And this is a success as well. The ranks of the martyrs is very high. So this is the first goodness. Either you go fight the Dajjal and you become martyred, or number two, you go fight the Dajjal and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants you victory. These are the two situations. It's a win-win situation. Whatever you do, if you go fight him, you are going to win regardless. If you die, you will still win. You will get the rank of shahadat. And if you defeat your enemy, then you will be victorious. So they will pledge allegiance upon death. Such a pledge, that such an allegiance, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know that they are truthful. Meaning they will say, okay, now we are going to fight. Certainly, we are not going to return except either in the state that we are victorious, or either we are going to die whilst trying to be victorious. Then suddenly, whilst they will have made this allegiance, there will suddenly be a darkness, and a person will not be able to see his own palm. It will be pitch black darkness. And suddenly Isa alayhi salam will descend, and that darkness will be removed from the eyesight. And suddenly the people will see before them a man who will be wearing an armor. And they will ask him, "Who are you?" And he will say that, "I am the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am his messenger. I am his ruh, and I am his word. I am Isa ibn Maryam." And Isa alayhi salam will say to them, "Choose between one of three things. Number one, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends upon Dajjal and his army a punishment from the sky." This is option number one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a punishment from the sky. Number two, that he causes the earth to swallow them. This is option number two. And number three, he sets upon them your swords, your weapons, and he stops their weapons from you. He renders their weapons useless against you. These are your three options. Choose one of these three. So they will say, "This one, Ya Rasulullah, this last option, Ya Rasulullah, it is a means for more contentment within our hearts." So then the Prophet ﷺ said that on that day you will see a strong, long Yahudi who will have been fed and he will have drank. He will not be like the Muslims who will be weak. He will have ate and he will have drank. He will be strong and he will be enormous in size. But despite this, he will not be able to hold his sword in his hand because of fear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have inserted into his heart. And the Muslims will then stand towards the enemy, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the Muslims control over the disbelievers, and Dajjal will begin to melt when he sees Isa alayhi salam. So this is the narration of Musannif ibn Razzaq. And in another narration is just mentioned, this is just a snippet of a hadith, that when he descends, he will say to them, Isa alayhi salam will say to them, "What is stopping you from emerging towards Kadhab al-Khabith, the liar, the Khabith?" They will say that this is such a man who is a jinni. They will be surprised to see him. He will be full of energy. And the Muslims will have been completely weakened at the time and fatigued due to hunger. Then they will realize that this is Isa ibn